Hello and welcome to another video. Today we will be taking a look at the Russian Civil War. We'll look at who was involved, what their ambitions were, how it came to the war, some after-war changes. We'll look at some literature that was written about the war, and we'll look at some quotes. First of all, who was involved and what were their ambitions? On one hand, we have the Red Army, so the Bolsheviks. Their ambitions were to establish a socialist state based on Marxist-Leninist principles. They wanted to consolidate power under the Communist Party to ensure the success and security of the revolution. Additionally, they wanted to spread communist ideology both domestically and internationally. Another point is that they wanted to overcome internal and external opposition to the Bolshevik regime. Key figures on the Bolshevik side were Vladimir Lenin, who was the leader of the Bolshevik Party, and Leon Trotsky, who was the founder and commander of the Red Army. Now let's look at the opposing side, the White Army, known also as the anti-Bolsheviks. Their ambitions were to restore the monarchy and the traditional social order disrupted by the revolution. Additionally, they wanted to establish a military dictatorship or return to a democratic provisional government. Another point is that they wanted to prevent the spread of Bolshevism and eradicate communist influence in Russia. Key figures on their side were Admiral Alexander Kolchak, who was the supreme leader of the Whites in Siberia. Another important figure was General Anton Denikin, the leader of the volunteer army in southern Russia. And also another party in this war were the Allied powers, which means Britain, France, the USA, and Japan. Their ambitions were to defeat Bolshevism to prevent its spread to other countries. Additionally, they wanted to secure and protect their political and economic interests in Russia, as well as re-establish the Eastern Front during World War I to combat the Central Powers. Their key actions were provided by military and financial support to White forces, and they conduct limited military interventions in Russian territory. The fourth party in this war was the Green Army. Well, that we mean the peasants. Their ambitions were to defend local communities from the requisitioning and conscription efforts of both Reds and the White Army. They wanted to establish local self-governance and protect peasant interests. They also wanted to resist central authority and maintain autonomy. Their characteristics were comprised mainly of peasant guerrilla fighters and in rural areas with sporadic and decentralized control. The anarchists and the left socialist revolutionaries. Their ambitions were to establish a stateless, classless society based on anarchist principles. They wanted to implement a socialist government that differs from the Bolshevik vision. They also wanted to promote direct action and self-management among workers and peasants. Their key figure was Nestor Makhno. He was the leader of the anarchist Black Army in the Ukraine. So, now let's look at how it came to the war. Well, first of all, we have the February Revolution. The overthrow of the Tsar Nicholas II followed mass protests and the establishment of the provisional government, which aimed to create a democratic Russia. Then we have the October Revolution. The Bolsheviks seized power in Petrograd through an armed insurrection. They established a socialist government led by the Bolshevik Party. Immediate measures included withdrawal from World War I, land redistribution, and nationalization of the industry. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918. It was a peace treaty between Soviet Russia and the Central Powers. It resulted in significant territorial losses for Russia, causing discontent among various factions, political polarization. A sharp ideological divides emerged between Bolsheviks, monarchists, Democrats, and anarchists, the formation of various armed groups with conflicting goals. Now, the foreign interventions. The Allied powers supported anti-Bolshevik forces with military and financial aid. Additionally, they aimed to prevent the spread of Bolshevism and protected their interests in Russia. Social and economic discontent, widespread poverty, hunger, and social upheaval following World War I. Disillusionment with the provisional government's inability to address pressing issues was also another factor, as well as the desire for radical change among workers, peasants, and soldiers. Now, let's take a look at after-war changes. First of all, we have the establishment of the Soviet Union. The formation of the USSR under Bolshevik control, uniting various Soviet republics. Centralization of power in the Communist Party and establishment of a one-party state. The economic impact were that there was a severe devastation of infrastructure and industry due to the war, and an implementation of the new economic policy NEP to stabilize the economy, allowing some private enterprise. Additionally, we have political repressions, such as the suppression of political opposition and establishment of a repressive state apparatus. And we have the creation of the Cheka, the secret police, to enforce Bolshevik rule and eliminate dissidents. Now we also have social changes, for example, the implementation of socialist policies in education, healthcare, and land redistribution, as well as the promotion of gender equality and worker rights, though often limited in practice. The last point is that there were international relations, increased isolation of the Soviet Union due to its communist ideology, and strained relations with Western powers, leading to a policy of socialism in one country. Now, I'll tell you something about literature, about this war. First of all, we have 10 Days That Shook the World by John Reed. It's an eyewitness account of the October Revolution. It offers insights into the early days of Bolshevik power and a vivid description and personal anecdotes from the front lines of the revolution. Next up is Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. It is a novel depicting the impact of the Russian Revolution and Civil War on a single family. It explores themes of individual versus state and the moral complexities of the era. The next book I have to offer is The Whites by Leonid Andreyev. It is a play that examines the perspectives and experiences of white army soldiers during the Civil War, and it highlights the ideological and emotional struggles faced by anti-Bolshevik forces. The next book is Red Cavalry by Isaac Babel. It is a collection of short stories about the Red Army cavalry during the Civil War, and it captures the brutality, chaos, and human aspects of the conflict. The last book I have to offer is The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. It focuses on the later period of Stalin's purges but provides context on the origins of Soviet repression rooted in the Civil War era. It's a critical examination of the Soviet regime's use of forced labor camps. Now, last up, let's take a look at some quotes about the war. First of all, we have a quote by Vladimir Lenin. "We shall now proceed to construct the socialist order. It reflects the Bolshevik ambition to transform society based on Marxist principles." Next up is Leon Trotsky. "We need not only victory over the whites, but also the annihilation of the economic roots of the counter-revolution." It emphasizes the importance of addressing underlying social and economic issues to ensure the success of the revolution. Second to last is Winston Churchill. He speaks on the intervention in Russia. The Bolsheviks must be crushed. It illustrates the Allied powers' determination to defeat Bolshevism and support anti-communist forces. Last up is Nestor Makhno. The revolution is in danger. It highlights the anarchist perspective and the continuous struggle to achieve their vision amidst the chaos of the Civil War. Those were all of the quotes. Thank you for listening.